Yesterday's Supreme Court rulings on gay marriage raise a crucial question. How should the church respond to a culture that seems increasingly hostile to Christianity and Christian principles? Here to talk about that is news anchor for the 700 Club, Lee Webb. Lee has also served as an elder in a local church for nearly 20 years. Welcome, Lee.
Thank you, Mark. Good to be here.
How should we as the church respond to all of this?
Well, Mark, I believe that the age-old argument that our nation was founded by godly men who implemented biblical principles seems really not to carry that much weight any longer. And I think we may need to refrain from placing all of our energy on that argument. With good reason, we are concerned about our culture. You know, I went back and read part of the late Chuck Colson's book, The God of Stones and Spiders, and I posted this on my Facebook page, and it's gotten quite a response, almost 10,000 views.
Wow.
Colson calls Christians to resist the notion to circle the wagons and seek special treatment as a persecuted minority, much like gays have. He said we shouldn't do that. He asked this question: where does today's hostility towards Christians leave us? He said basically where the church has always been, at odds with the world. But that doesn't mean retreat. And Mark, what I think Colson was saying there is that stop being surprised by persecution. If you are acting in a Christ-like manner, you can expect persecution. Jesus told us that if they persecuted him, they're certainly going to persecute us.
Well, Lee, how do you counter the argument of this person who wrote on your Facebook post? He said, Chuck is telling Christians to go to sleep and let the devil have his way, so just stand there and let them make you yield to their rights to sin? How do you respond to that?
Well, Colson wasn't saying go to sleep. Remember, he said this is no time to retreat. He's telling us, I believe, to engage the culture in a different way. And, you know, our authority, Mark, and our power as Christians is not derived by any government institution. It's from Almighty God. Therefore, we don't need to act like defensive little children trying to defend ourselves against the bullies on the playground like we did when we were kids. It's in our weakness that God's power is made strong. That is the power of the gospel. You know, Chuck Colson went on to write, we must defend the truth lovingly, winsomely, letting others see in all we do the excellence of him who has called us from darkness into light. And Mark, let me give you an example of that. I just talked to a good friend of mine in Florida. His pastor at their church, a couple of gay guys, a homosexual couple, moved in next door to the associate pastor. These two homosexuals assumed that they were going to be shunned or treated with some level of hostility. Instead, the pastor and his wife loved on these two guys. They showed fellowship and friendship. To make a long story short, this pastor and his family led both of those men, both of these homosexuals, to faith in Jesus Christ. Those men have now left the homosexual lifestyle. They're part of this church in Florida, and they're leading a life that no one could have imagined just a few years ago. That is the power of the gospel. That's a different kind of warfare, and frankly, I think we need to stop using that kind of terminology, warfare and this, you know, those kinds of things really only antagonize an unbelieving world.
We need to speak the truth in love.
Absolutely.
And the Bible is very clear about that. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you.